as we chat. Lots cooking. It's good to have you with us here as we move it along on this afternoon show. A lot going on here in sports. All right, let's give you a little update, and then we'll get a break in, and then we'll get your calls on as we do our third hour today on a great SiriusXM. All right, number one, there's the news in sports today. There's a couple things going on. First off, Roy Williams retired. He, of course, Kansas, 14, 15 years. 4 or 5 Final Fours, couple of championship games. Wonderful coach there in Kansas. Never won. Came as close as you could. Lost to Syracuse in a championship game. Lost to Duke in a championship game. Duke was better. Syracuse had Carmelo. And Kansas lost that game to Syracuse. Then he went to North Carolina. He had said no the first time. He came back the second time after Matt Doherty, clean up and fix the program. And he turned around and he won 3 championships in Carolina. He beat Illinois one year. He buried Michigan State in another year and then beat Gonzaga a couple of years ago to win that third championship. So 3 titles there, of course, for Roy. And at the end of the day, long career, a legendary coach, lots of wins, joined the Carolina staff in the late 70s. In 1978, went to Kansas about a decade later, came back to North Carolina when, don't forget, it wasn't just right after Dean because Dean retired. Guthridge did it for 2 years, and then Guthridge retired, and then they brought in Matt Doherty, and Doherty, who had some success, I forget where he was. Where was Doherty before? I got to think where Doherty was before he went to, was it SMU? I forget where he was. And then he went to North Carolina and didn't work out, and then, of course, they bring Roy in. Finally, they called him home, and he did a great job. And then today he retired. So 3 championships for Roy all those years later. You almost forget that he won 3 championships. It's almost, and you still think North Carolina, for a guy who won more championships than, think about it, he won more championships than Dean, but he wasn't able to get out of Dean's shadow. When you think North Carolina basketball, you still think Dean Smith, and he only won 2 titles. Roy's been there for whatever it was and has won 3 titles. So it's weird how that works. I mean, Roy actually won more championships than Dean did, but Dean is remembered, in a lot of ways more fondly and is part of the North Carolina tradition more than Roy is, which is an odd thing. We try to get some people on today. We'll see if we can get somebody on for Roy in the next couple days. We got to give him his due. We did that for Lon Kruger last week when he left Oklahoma after a long year, and we got to do that for Roy. So that is the first thing that we got to get to today. It's an important story with Roy Williams saying goodbye. That's the first thing. Second thing today is the games. There's been some baseball games on here today where, in fact, we've had opening day in the sport. A lot of games going on as we speak. Right now, the one game that has been concluded, and I think it's the most significant game of the day, and that was Toronto that beat the Yankees 3-2 at Yankee Stadium. You can't read anything into this, but it's, listen, Toronto looked into it. The Yankees did not hit with men in scoring position. Stanton got booed. The Blue Jays were all excited when they won this game today. They obviously have to beat the Yankees out. Everybody thinks that the Yankees are going to win this division, and the Blue Jays and Rays are going to run after them all year. I wonder about the Toronto pitching. Their bullpen was great today. They made all the defensive plays. They did an excellent job, and the Yankees didn't hit in men in scoring position. Toronto got a big hit in the 10th inning on a double with the man on second base. Ends up winning the game 3-2. I love the rule of the man on second base. There's no reason to play 30 innings of a ball game. I know the purists don't like it so much. The rule is good. You know the game is going to conclude. You're not there forever. To sit there and play a 16, 17-inning game is silly. And to end the game as quickly as you can is the way to go. I think the fact that they booed Stanton, I think the fact that the Yankees didn't hit in the clutch. Now, Sanchez hit a 2-run homer today, which is something that the Yankee fan, and he got another hit too. So the Yankee fan's going to hold on to that. Sanchez, this is a do-or-die year for him. But Toronto, which did not have George Springer and have a lot of injuries, their closers out and everything else for the year, won at Yankee Stadium today, so that was a good sign there. Everything else is still going on. Nola is still pitching against the Braves. He leads them 2-0 in the top of the 6th against Atlanta. With the Phillies. That's the first thing here today. Texas and Kansas City shared 5-run first innings. They're tied in Kansas City. The Indians lost in Detroit today. Cabrera had a home run in the snow, 3-2. You had that going on here today. Pittsburgh leads the Cubs. A lot of people think it's going to be a long year for the Cubbies. 4-2 for the Pirates, who might be the worst team in the sport. Castillo got bombed early for the Reds today. 7-1 St. Louis in the third inning. Early games, Dodgers lead the Rockies early. Diamondbacks trail the Padres early. Padres got 2 runs in the second inning. So the baseball today, it's good to have it back. It's a companion piece. There's a game every night, which you love. Braves are out of the 6th inning, 2-0 Phillies, bottom 6. It's a companion piece every night. You got a ball game to talk about. Listen, baseball is not for the younger fan, unfortunately, like it used to be. But when I was growing up as a kid, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, opening day was a treat. Oh, everybody loved it. All the games were in the daytime. The Reds always started the season first out at 12:30 or 1 o'clock at Crosley Field at Riverfront. All the games were done by, 7, 8 o'clock. There was no night games in those days. It was really, it was great. And then later on in my life and your life, the games were the opening day was the Monday afternoon, and then the Monday night championship game, which is one of the great days in sport, where you had baseball beginning and then the college basketball season ending all in one day. That was wonderful, too. That was always a delight. They moved off that, and, they moved the games. They opened up on Sunday night, and then the Monday, they had the one opening game before the rest of the sport played. They played night games now. They have windows for ESPN. It's changed. It's not as simplistic as it used to be, which is what you like. Sometimes you like sports to be a little simple from a television standpoint. It's not like that anymore, unfortunately. But still, it's still baseball. They still play 162. It's still fun. All right, there are rule changes. We still don't have a ton of fans yet. More on that in a sec. Rule changes and everything else. We haven't. But the game has changed. A lot of home runs. There's not much action. All those things. But still, to have the sport back, you get it every night. It's a companion piece. There are different ways to follow it. Other sports, NBA and the NHL, you don't follow the regular season that carefully. Anyway, who's listening to NBA Knick games on the radio? I mean, do you make it your business to listen to the Knicks on the radio, the 82 regular season? You watch every game. First off, there's no afternoon games, and you watch the games on television. You don't listen to the games on radio. Football, you do not listen to the games on radio and football. Once in a while, you might be stuck in a car at 2 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. You put the game on, or you listen to Steve with the NFL thing, and whatever that show is called, Sunday Drive. You listen to that, but you don't listen to the NFL on the radio. Baseball is a sport you can still listen to on the radio. You can follow it in different ways. The radio, it's 162 games, so if you miss one, all right, no big deal. You can have it as a companion piece. You can follow it on your phone. You can sit outside on your porch with a nice glass of lemonade on a hot summer day. There's many a way to listen to baseball. Now, again, a lot of the young fan doesn't love it. My youngest, one of my kids right now has really been into it. The A's. He was in the opening day today. It was good to see him get into it. He called me from Wisconsin first thing this morning, into the A's, and everything else. He was into it. So that, to me, it felt like the old days, watching the opening day through his eyes on this afternoon. So it still means something special to me. I've done baseball all day today. It still has a little pull in my heart. Baseball, it's got issues. I'm not as huge a Giant fan as I used to be, which has hurt me as far as the everyday passion is concerned. But as far as the sport as far as the greatness of the sport, it still's got a pull. It's still, and listen, they play a ton of games. A lot of games are meaningless. A lot of games take too long. Not always a lot of action. Too many home runs. The players are removed from the fan base much more so now than they used to be. You don't have that same connection. But still, baseball is baseball. It's still 27 outs, 9 innings, 162 games. Ballparks, 90 feet with the bases. 60 feet, 6 inches, mound to the plate. It's still what it is. It's still fun. And it's good to have it back. Now, baseball did a couple things today that were odd that we have brought up already. I'll mention that when we take a break. First thing is the Red Sox canceled today at 7 or 8 o'clock this morning. Their day game against the Orioles at 2 o'clock. A lot of Red Sox fans chimed in, called up, put on Twitter, what's the story? Turned out to be 47 degrees at game time, no rain. The Yankees played today. The Phillies played today. Cold, but no precipitation. Somehow the Red Sox, now they all play the Orioles, so they have a way to make up the game, but the Yankees played Toronto, team in their division. Braves are playing the Phillies, team in their division. Phillies could have moved this game. People are wearing ski caps at the Citizens Bank ballpark, but they're playing. Somehow the Red Sox at 8 o'clock this morning today decided not to play. Makes no sense. There's not a ton of fans going to the ballpark, so you're not inconveniencing everybody by informing them late on whether the game is going to go on. You can tell them at 11, 12 o'clock. They can still get to the park in good shape. There's no huge traffic jams. They can park their car, get to the game. They can make a quick decision. So I don't know why the Red Sox decided today. They obviously got a bad weather forecast, but I don't know today why the Red Sox decided to have to cancel the game 6 hours before first pitch. That, to me, doesn't make a lot of sense from a Red Sox perspective. And they did that. I don't know when they're going to make the game up. But it bothered a lot of people in Boston, and I can understand that. The second thing, and I've screamed about this all day today, baseball had that exclusive window with ESPN at 7 o'clock. Only one game. It was the game in the Northeast with the Mets and the Nationals. COVID issue with the Nationals, 4 or 5 national folks, including at least one player. COVID, so with contract tracing and everything else, they canceled the game today about 1 o'clock. Which to me, I understand them canceling the game. What I don't understand is not having a replacement. So if you're coming home today, wherever you might be, and you want to watch a ball game at 6, 7 o'clock tonight, there's nothing to watch. There's 3 games at 10 o'clock, which make absolutely no sense at all to put West Coast games on at 10 o'clock. There's not a ton of fans. Everybody understands first game of the season. There might be afternoon games. So you might be a little inconvenienced television-wise or getting to the ball games. You got to work. But still, there are afternoon games. Afternoon games all over the place in the East. Why can't there be afternoon games all over the place in the West? Somehow they have 3 games on at 10 o'clock tonight, which to me makes absolutely no sense. Everybody claims that we can't watch Mike Trout play. Well, Mike Trout's playing at 10 o'clock tonight. Why is Mike Trout playing the first game of the new year at 10 o'clock tonight? Everybody claims that nobody sees him. He's not marketed properly. He plays in obscurity in the West Coast. Well, here's a chance you got to showcase him a little bit, and you put him on at 10 o'clock. Makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense at all. And to start the season with only one game at 7, and that being the Nationals on April 1st for tricky weather is always a problem. Now, weather wasn't the issue today in this game. It was something else. But they didn't know that when they scheduled it all by that Sloan-Sim at 7 o'clock. Could have been a northeaster rolling through the district. Who the hell knows? And they did not give themselves any cushion whatsoever. They're probably going to claim because ESPN pays for their exclusive window. Baseball claims that they do what ESPN tells them to do, yet, and baseball accommodates ESPN every shape, way, and form. Gives them the best matchups on Sunday night. Gives them exclusive windows on opening day. The best games they possibly can give. They all give them the ESPN. Yeah, when baseball needs a little help from ESPN, like this morning with all their shows, nobody talked about baseball. They were breaking down Mac Jones's pro day for 5 hours on Get Up and all these shows. Now, whether LaMarcus Aldridge was going to suit up for the Nets tonight, the new Spur, the old Spur, now the new Net. So baseball basically bends over backwards to take care of ESPN, but ESPN never bends over backwards to take care of baseball. They never care about baseball. They treat it as a niche sport. Niche sport. They got all these morning shows today. None of them know baseball, number one. Number two, nobody's talking baseball. They were talking football for 5 years. Think Damian Woody knows baseball? Marcus Spears knows baseball? They don't know baseball. Max Kellerman knows baseball? Not a chance. Yet baseball bends over backwards to give ESPN an exclusive window at 7 o'clock to get the game called off. In this case, not weather, but it could have been. And they got nothing to show. So you're going to come home tonight, dine and watch a ball game at 7 o'clock. There's no games. Makes no sense. I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. And I know that the NFL's got to, the NFL dictates because it's the NFL and they have all those eyeballs for the sets. But the one thing about the NFL that you have to give them credit for, they could easily make a mistake. They never do. Their TV plan, all right, you don't like late games on the West Coast. You don't like cold weather games in the postseason, in cold weather spots late at night. Like, they might play the game in L.A. at 4 and a game in Green Bay at 9 in January. Makes no sense. All right, you want to kill about that? Go ahead. But one thing about the NFL with Goodell, they know how to do television. They know how to do television. The games are on when it's supposed to be on. They want to move the Monday night game up to 8:15 because 9 o'clock's too late. ESPN moves the game up for them. 105, 4:15. That's when the games start. Sunday afternoons. Sunday night, 8:30. That's when the games start. The games are there when they're supposed to be there. They dictate. They rule the roost. It's their product. They tell you when the games are on. Baseball doesn't do that. They let the networks tell them what to do, and they should get away from that. The fact that ESPN, if they had an exclusive window, for opening day, that's got to be out of that contract. Opening day should be like the NCAA tournament in the first round. Lots of games, flip around, get a feel of all these teams, and have some fun. That's how they should be. Cherry pick. No cherry picking tonight. And the fan thing has been a factor today. At least you see some bodies in the stands. It's much better. I noticed it in Philadelphia. I noticed it watching Milwaukee a minute ago against the Twins. I noticed it with the Yankee game. They may not be wearing masks, but they're in the ballpark making a little noise. Makes all the difference in the world. And to see some bodies in the seats, even if it's sporadic, is a help. Good start. We continue. We're Mad Dog Unleashed. We're back right after this.